Cities use more than 75% of the world's energy and generate more than 75% of its greenhouse gases. Buildings are often the largest energy users, accounting for 50% of energy consumption in newer cities, and in older ones, more than 70%. In New York and London, that is the case. Here in New York City, according to the mayor's recent report, buildings account for almost 80% of the greenhouse gas emissions in our city. There are 950,000 of those buildings, so that is a lot of activity. Most buildings, particularly in older cities, are remarkably energy inefficient. They use lights that generate more heat than light. They leak cool air in the summer and hot air in the winter because of poorly insulated windows and walls. The heating and cooling systems are antiquated and use inefficient pumps and motors. Heating, air conditioning, and lighting systems often run all night or for hours on end when no one is using them. We now have the technology to reduce energy consumption in buildings by 25 to 50%. If all buildings were as efficient as they could be, we'd be saving an enormous amount of energy and significantly reducing carbon emissions. Also, we'd be saving a ton of money for people who pay utility bills. More often than not, however, it's expensive to take an existing building and make the improvements that will bring about the energy savings. Today, we announce a program to perform these improvements on a massive scale in 16 major cities around the world. Our goal is to dramatically increase the number of buildings that undergo retrofits, to set up systems in participating cities to conduct these retrofits efficiently, quickly, and as inexpensively as possible. This program will change all that by creating a system to make it easier for building owners to increase energy efficiency. As the first step, our foundation is partnered with the 4 largest energy service companies in the world: Siemens, Johnson Controls, Honeywell, and Trane. These companies audit buildings, identify opportunities to make them more efficient, and then act as general contractors by organizing construction work and securing the products and technologies necessary to carry out successful retrofits. Under this new program, these companies have not only agreed to scale up their capacity to do large numbers of building retrofits around the world, but equally important, to provide financial performance guarantees on energy savings that will result from their retrofit projects. So I would like to acknowledge the energy service companies here and ask them to stand. We have George Nolan, the CEO of Siemens, Dave Myers, the President of Building Efficiency for Johnson Controls, Timothy Keating, the Vice President of Global Governmental Relations for Honeywell, Fred Pozes, the Chairman and CEO of American Standard Companies. Thank you very, very much. Even with the performance guarantees, we have to raise the money to do this work. So we partnered with 5 major global financial institutions: Citigroup, Deutsche Bank, UBS, ABN AMRO, and JP Morgan. These banks will finance our first generation of building retrofit projects. They have each committed $1 billion in financing to this program. The total of $5 billion that will be devoted to the program will, this is very important, this will more than double the current global market for building retrofits. The financing by the, thank you. The financing will cover 100% of the cost of each building retrofit, and as a result, cities and private building owners will not have to commit to new capital outlay. The reason is that more efficient energy use will result in lower energy bills and savings for building owners and their tenants. Most of the money saved initially will be used to pay back the loan plus interest to the bank. Later on, the building owner and the tenants will realize part of the cost savings and eventually all the cost savings once the bank loans have been repaid. 16 of the world's largest cities have agreed to participate in this program and to offer their municipal buildings for the first round of retrofits. They will also provide incentives for private building owners in their cities to do audits and retrofits to their own buildings. My foundation will help them to set up a standardized process to simplify permitting and other requirements so that they can begin construction, simplify the program, and cut the costs and times associated with getting real results in energy efficiency. We're also partnering today with leading cities like Toronto and Berlin that have successfully encouraged building energy efficiency for decades now, and who will share their best practices with a broad range of cities looking to incentivize deep reductions in building-related emissions. I would like to now introduce the mayors that are here, and I hope I have a complete list. In addition to Mayor Bloomberg and Mayor Livingstone, we have the Mayor of Toronto, David Miller, Lord Mayor of Melbourne, John Su, Mayor Oh Se-hoon of Seoul, Mayor Shubha Roy of Mumbai, Governor Petrak Kosayoden of Bangkok, and the Mayor of Bangkok, Sao Paulo Mayor Gilberto Kassab, Mexico City Mayor Marcelo Ebrard, and the Mayor of Berlin, Klaus Wowerset. They are both coming, and they may not be here yet. And I thank the other representatives of the cities that are here. We have participating but not present today, Tokyo, Karachi, Chicago, Houston, Johannesburg, and Rome. And we also have Mayor Doug Palmer, the President of the U.S. Conference of Mayors from Trenton, New Jersey here. Thank you all very much for being here. So we have a chance here to generate enormous numbers of jobs for people who may not have a lot of educational background and may not be doing well in the current information technology dominated economy. I predict that all the naysayers who said this was going to be terrible for the economy will be proved wrong, and it will actually turn out to be an enormous economic boon, not only in wealthy countries, but in developing countries as well. And I think the mayors clearly understand that, and we want to be in a position to support them. The Green Building Council, the heating, refrigerating, air conditioning engineers, and mechanical engineers are going to help us. There is a market for public goods here, a clean, energy-efficient future. It requires products, it requires services, it has enormous potential to grow the economy, and as long as other energy products are priced that they are now, anything we need to do will be economical if we can organize the financing and execution. So all of our partners here today have helped us to organize a market that will then operate in an efficient and profitable way. People who pay utility bills in New York City and in all these other cities will be better off. We'll be creating jobs, we'll be starting businesses, and we'll be solving a huge problem for the world.
Today we're delighted to join the Clinton Foundation in this global energy efficient building retrofit program. It really is groundbreaking. It really is going to make a difference. The program will play a critical role in helping us achieve one of the key goals of Plan YC, reducing New York City's greenhouse gas emissions by 30% by the year 2030. This is part of what we believe to be the most comprehensive and concrete environmental plan that any major city has developed. Making both our private and public buildings more energy efficient is crucial to decreasing New York's impact on climate change. Because I have said in my remarks at the summit yesterday, New York City's more than 900,000 buildings account for almost 80% of the city's production of greenhouse gases. It's also vital to reducing New York's energy costs in the years ahead. Some 85% of the buildings that will be in active use in the year 2030 are already standing today. Plan YC intends to encourage and eventually require the kind of efficiencies in those buildings that this exciting new initiative will underwrite. So it's really going to make a huge difference in helping us begin doing our part to fight climate change. Today, major businesses and financial institutions increasingly understand that shrinking the world's carbon footprint is a pro-growth strategy. Indeed, the only pro-growth strategy for the long term. Going green cuts energy costs, creates jobs, and improves the bottom line, as well as the future for everyone.
If we look at the pattern of carbon emissions around the world, in the decade that follows this decision, as this new global industry takes off, we can reduce total global carbon emissions by about 10%. This is not just a new initiative. This is the biggest single step to tackle climate change that has been taken by any layers of government anywhere in the world since the debate about climate change started. Let it embolden our national leaders as they meet soon to discuss the next stages forward. We in the cities couldn't wait. We see the problems. We see the damage that carbon emissions are doing, the threat of flooding and of violent weather, of terrible levels of heat. And I pay tribute to the cities, to the financial institutions, to the energy companies that have come together to tackle this problem. Let it be an example to those who sit in government around the world. It is now time to move.
In general, in the world, about a third of greenhouse gas emissions come from transportation, a third from buildings, and a third from manufacturing and the generation of electricity. But in cities, it's almost always more buildings.